Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is that you're listening to this. My name is Wanzuu. I'm your host for the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. November 19th is International Men's Day, and I thought, what a better time to be able to have a lot of male-centered conversations around this particular time. And so the entire month of November, I'll be having all male guests unpacking different issues pertaining to life, but from a male experience and from a male perspective. Stay tuned. I hope you resonate with some of the issues and some of the things that we'll be discussing and unpacking. I'll see you soon. Happy listening.
Yeah. So just what I've read.
Yeah.
I felt it explained a lot of things. Individualism.
Yes.
Because even right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it will lead us to what we talk about next.
Yeah.
There's this thing now about I don't want to mention names.
Mm-hmm.
There's these people who are now quote unquote like leaders of men.
Mm-hmm.
You know those people.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who have podcasts, the ones who are tweeting. I don't want to mention their names.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So and someone will be like, we were told not to do this.
Yeah.
We were told not to maybe do this to our girls, We were told maybe.
Yeah.
So I think that then there's no individualism, Yeah. Like if you call your girl on a Friday and she doesn't pick, I have news for you. And vice versa also, girls have their own
rules.
those collective.
I like that you've mentioned the Friday phone calls as we finish on that. There's something to be said about men and even women, people who go ghost on their other person. Either if it's during that period where you're getting to know them, which I feel like that should be the most intense. That should be when you call her kama dawa, asubuhi mchana na jioni. But there's some people who it's like Timothy will call you on Thursday and then surface on Wednesday like everything is okay. And it's like, Timo, where have you been the whole weekend?
Yeah.
So what is your take on that? And people will always use the I was busy excuse, I was held up with work. I don't buy it. And as I get older, I feel like that's a huge deal breaker for me. What's your take on that?
Okay, of course, communication is important.
Yeah.
Because even live alone relationship, even in our jobs, you can't not go to work in the morning and just keep quiet until your boss calls you. Even when you wake up in the morning and not feeling well, you send a text. Even if your boss will complain and say, "Oh, you didn't inform Mama, you didn't."
Yes.
But you sent a text. I'm not feeling well. I won't be coming. That's communication, yeah.
Yes.
So and I'd say I'm also not that person that will want to talk to you the whole time.
I agree with me. I'm not those people.
Yeah, but I think
life is life.
I think it's just maybe talking now as a quite older. I've grown older. I think it's just important maybe just to say, my phone is going to go off.
Yeah.
We won't be able to talk. I'm at so and so's place.
Catch you later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's just important. Both ways. And also, but just blanket assuming that if someone won't be available over the weekend, then it means that they are cheating. Maybe because they're capable of doing that. Maybe.
Yeah,
But
you kind of
I think communication. Yeah, you can't just go. And this is something I also learned growing up in our household. Sometimes you just go out to play.
Yes.
Or you've gone somewhere. So I remember there's one time I just left, and when I came back, my dad again.
Yeah.
So he just told me that when you're living with someone, this is in our house. When you're living with someone or some people, it's just important to tell them that I've gone here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even at that point. Okay, that point you'll be even asking for permission.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing also comes with that. Do you have to ask for permission?
No, you don't.
But this is one thing that I remember. I was told, my dad told me. He didn't even hold me. He just told me it's important to just inform.
Just communicate.
Even if you've just gone to the shop.
Yes.
So that if anything happens,
at least we know.
Or even if you got hit by a car, if you get a phone call, we will know that he actually went to the shop. So the same way too, it's just important.
Just come on, courtesy. See, we just treat each other like humans.
It's not that you're asking for permission. Because I've seen also those discussions online.
I was talking to someone about that this morning. I was telling him, I don't buy the I was busy with work excuse. Sister Wewe, in 2023, you want to tell me that if it was not a work phone call or an M-Pesa transaction, you have not looked at your contacts, you've not contacted anybody. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I think people make time for things that they value or want to get to know. And if someone is not reciprocating that kind of energy, they're communicating something. I would blame the honeys who are put in that in that position for a long time, and then now 3 months later, Michelle, you want to come and tell us that Michael has been keeping you on hold for 3 months.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe every weekend. I don't know where he goes. By the third weekend, you should have even you taken a hint that maybe you're not that important, and you need to start talking to other people. It's not. You cannot play victim. Like you can only play victim for so long. Even you, sometimes you need to take a hint and kind of keep it pushing. I'm not saying that to take a hint. Kuchukua L is never an easy thing.
But I think also these things are easier said than done. Because it's easier said than done. Because even outside relationships.
Yes.
I remember there's a not a podcast. There's this it's called it's not inspired. It's this thing that people talk. This platform that a lot of people have been talking to. They open up. It's called what?
What is this
By
called?
Safaricom. I'm forgetting it. It's usually on YouTube. So there's this person who was saying his dad used to be a big person.
Is it Engage?
Engage, yeah.
Yes, I love those talks.
So his dad was a very big person in the government.
Yeah.
Like has a very big job. So there's a time they had problems with was it roaches? They had like a hole outside the house that they didn't know where roaches were coming from. Then one day, like when he was playing in the backyard, he noticed.
Yeah, the
and
roaches
then
are coming.
and then he went and called his dad because they had phones in the house.
Yeah.
So when he called his dad, Kumba his dad was in a very serious meeting, and the aide came and called his dad out of the meeting. And when the dad picks the phone, the child tells his dad, the dad, very excitedly, the dad,
Found where the roaches are coming from, yeah.
his dad was so mad, and his dad told him, never call this number with such useless. Like he told him, never call this number.
That's very.
And the
That
kid
was
was
kind of.
he didn't even forget it. He
Yeah.
remembered that thing later. But then later, you see, this time his dad is working and all these things, and even in his mind, he's like, I'm working, I'm doing all these things because of you guys. But later, when he went ahead, even when he retired, he came to realize that those small things are more important. And even at some point, not the child now, when he became a dad and now having kids, he's always said that even if he's in what kind of presentation, if his child calls, he'll pick, whether it's the flimsiest of reasons why the child has called.
Yeah,
Because it's important. So just maybe to support what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's saying you're busy. Yes, you can be busy like that. You can be very busy.
Yeah,
You
and
can
it's
have a
legit.
hectic
Yeah.
day at job. But if you see it, imagine if the whole world is falling. Just answer that. Even if it was a text, just answer it.
Just answer.
Because if you say you won't answer it, that's how you'll forget.
And then
and you legit forget.
Yeah, and I know there are times I've answered text messages in my head, even me.
Yeah. So just make it. Let it just be a priority.
Yes, I hear you.
Even if the world is, just make it a priority. Because
just make it a priority.
This is a very important person.
Yeah. And also just as if you're pursuing someone, maybe let's say someone who you're getting to know, or as a man, if you feel like you kind of spotted someone and you thought you wanted to get that conversation going, but with a point you're just like, I don't think so anymore. Maybe there's a nicer way of kind of retreating as opposed to just going ghost. Like there are nicer ways of let them down easy.
You've reminded me something else. Okay, I hope it will lead us back to toxic masculinity.
Okay, we're going
so
back.
There was this thread. I don't know, maybe the listeners have seen it. It was an X the other day, and then this person said, that moment when you start hating your girlfriend, and then guys came in with replies, and guys were saying a lot of things, and it became very, ladies didn't like it. Did you see it?
I think I heard of it. I try to stay away from X now, formerly Twitter. Let me say that place is lethal.
Let me tell you one of the things they are saying. Now when you start hating your girlfriend, the hugs feel like someone is strangling you, or it feels like it's called what? this thing that kind of really not use that. So they say if your girl asks you how was your day and they ruin your day, or did you see that?
I saw that
Yeah.
thread. I can't remember the things that were roasted.
Yeah. Have you ever
Oh,
experienced
yeah.
that? People you've dated, have you at some point felt like, hey, this guy is not the same way he was?
I have, yes.
Mm.
I have. Personally, I'm a hopeless romantic.
Mm.
And I'm also, I think I'm stuck, as a 90s baby, I'm very stuck in the 90s. So 90s music, that 90s. And that was when R&B was R&B and love was love. So I'm very big on the small gestures. And when I see the energy shifting, I just know, hapa kuna kitu. So I have been a recipient of that, yes.
Can you give an example of something you saw?
They just weren't calling me as much.
Mm.
They weren't calling me as much, and then I noticed that if your significant other is incredibly touchy, like if they sit next to you, maybe they'll rest their arm on your lap, or they'll kind of give you an unsolicited peck or stuff like that. I just saw that change. So if you're hanging out, just hang out like boys.
So what did you do about it?
I asked.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
And of course, they were skirting around the issue, and then me, I just up and left.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, okay, so after for me, and that's what I was telling you, I really have had to learn to kind of stop sometimes over exerting my energy. I've always been a person for I will work on it, I'll try every means. Unajua njia ya kuwa panya ni mingi, unaweza choma nyumba, unaweza ipea rat and rat. So I'll try everything. And when it doesn't work, sometimes I normally find na overdo. Like by the time I'm walking away, my dignity go below sea level. So now I'm learning to kind of be like, I'll pass it on as a conversation and say, "Hey, I've noticed your energy is shifting. Like, did I do something wrong? Are you just in a strange space? Like, what's going on?" So some people will address it. Others will just sweep it under the rug and continue doing what they're doing. So if you do that, I take that as my cue for why it was good when it lasted. See.
So okay, speaking for the men now.
Yes.
I think you remember that link you shared with me, the one for the neuroscientist.
Yes.
I think there is a scientific explanation to that. Yeah.
Do you want to share?
Yes. So that neuroscientist was saying that see men have this hormone. It's called, is it?
Are you talking about the conversation between minute 40 to 45?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think that explains it.
It does.
Because like they were saying, the more like a man, maybe I'm giving out men's secrets here, but yeah. So,
that's why you're here.
No, but I'm not here to give secrets. But yeah, okay. What they were saying,
to help us understand.
What they were saying is that there is when a man and a woman sleep. Okay, he said casual, but I think maybe it can also be. Actually, there's women release this kind of a hormone or something that is for love, and so the more they sleep with one person, the more they get to love this person more.
It's true, yes.
But then now men, the one that they release, it's like not they detach.
It detaches them, and the more they release it detaches them. I'll link that episode on the description box below, and you can if you listen to that and you don't have time. It's between minute 40 and 45.
Yeah.
The person who actually sent me that link told me that.
Yeah.
She told me, I think this is a conversation worth listening to, especially minute 40 to 45. And that's a specific place that they were telling me about. I think it's true. And that just goes to say, I think our moms used to tell us, how we've always, premarital sex has always been shunned upon. And sometimes we always thought it was just for religious reasons, But when you try and look at it now, it was also protecting you in a way. Because there's a way feelings get involved, and there's a way you attach to a person when you're physically engaged on that level that can be very dangerous when things don't work out the way you thought they would. And it's not, I know we like to keep it gangster, and everyone on social media is normally trying to be out here gaining gangster points, but you cannot deny the fact that when you're engaged with someone on that level, there's a way you just feel need to them. There's a way you get entangled to them. And then some kiachana, well, it's a struggle. So how many times do you think you can do that?
Do what?
Because attached to someone and then it doesn't work out and you detach, and you're attached
As a
and it
man.
doesn't work out and you detach.
As a
For a
man.
man, I know you
Yes.
can do it for the rest of your
I
life.
should be one asking you.
For a woman, I feel like it's bad.
Mm.
Because if you, I know that people who can do casual, that kind of casual dating and casual sex, and they won't attach like that. But even those who claim they don't attach to that, there's a certain level of attachment that they have. And I feel like for every person that you attach to and it doesn't work out and you break up and you attach to someone else, for me, I found that every time I do that, it's like I lose a piece of me.
Mm.
I don't know how to explain it.
Mm.
Of course, si ati sasa kuna kitu amechukua, nitarudi tu sawa, maisha itaendelea.
Yeah.
But there's a piece of me that I lose.
Yeah.
There's a piece, especially for me, because everybody I date is quote unquote my friend.
Yeah.
So when I walk away from the relationship, man, I'm not a friend.
Yeah.
Uko tapo muna mi mnawashwa kushare but tunajichekea tu. Because sasa stories zimeisha.
So you see what you're saying?
Yes.
Still, maybe I could just mention chivalry again.
Yeah.
And you remember there's a point I talked even about chastity.
Yes.
Chastity.
Yeah.
Because even that chastity maybe made those men more interested in maybe chasing these women and being.
Because now if you can get it on the first instance, like what else is there to
Yeah,
refer to?
yeah. And maybe there's nothing more interesting after the.
Yeah, but pia kama unaenda na hiyo mindset, maybe there's more of whatever it is that you experienced the first time. So pia wewe shauri yako.
And then that's why I was saying also, again that male role.
Yes.
Have you seen the way guys talk when they have girls, like daughters? Have you heard the way they talk about if I find you,
yes.
or no dating until 52?
Yes, because they know what they'll be doing out here.
That those gender norms we're talking about.
Yes.
And that's why I agree with that in saying it's the male or the man that used to
kind of create the need
maybe just to guide how a man or a woman should act. Because even the boys were supposed to know how to act.
Yeah.
I can give you an example, and this again my dad told me. In shops, you see the fences. The fences used to be as it was a mawe or whatever.
Ama ojo.
But there used to be a place which is not, the fence hasn't closed. There was a space that was left, and sometimes you think it's by mistake, but it was by design that space was left there, because in shots, girls used to call boys to their homes. Yeah.
What?
Yes. So you go there. So like me, I go to visit some girl that I want to. Yes. But then it can go south. His brothers might come and find this.
So now that's your escape
It has happened. Now that is, and even your dad knows and tells your brothers that place has to stay that way. You'll find, even if he doesn't tell you directly, you'll find a way. That space has to be. Because if you're found, if that, they'll beat me.
Yeah, they'll kill you.
They're not supposed to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to use that
route to
escape. Because if you kill again, that's
it's
also
a problem now.
So you see, that's why I'm saying again.
Yeah.
I agree with that it's the male that was supposed to set those gender norms.
Okay. Okay, I hear you. Let's talk about toxic masculinity. Yes. What is your understanding of toxic masculinity? You as a man.
As a man.
Yes.
I like when we discuss something. I like also going back to just. I think it sets the pace for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because one thing I don't like about podcasts is people just go
ramble
and then talk about things that they don't have authority about.
Yeah.
So okay, what I saw is that it's adherence to traditional male gender roles that consequently stigmatize and limit the emotions boys and men may comfortably express, while elevating other emotions such as anger. Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
Okay, I will read that again.
It's adherence to traditional male gender roles that consequently stigmatize and limit the emotions boys and men may comfortably express, while elevating other emotions such as anger.
Okay, I hear you. For me, toxic masculinity, how would I put it? In my own understanding, and if I paraphrase what it is that I may have read, is when the role of the man is put in a way that it encroaches on the freedom of the people around them. So it's kind of they over when gender roles are over exerted, but from a male perspective. And also taking from what you've read, it kind of restricts their sense of expression and amplifies more negative expressions as opposed to these other ones. That's how I would describe toxic
And
masculinity.
I like your delay because again, even in what I've said, like we should speak about things that we research.
Yes.
Also trying also not to be very academic about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So toxic masculinity apparently it's not a buzzword. It's not a new word. Actually thought it was.
Even because people
hearing,
right around.
I started hearing it around 2016, 18, around there. But apparently, it's something that it's a word that was coined around towards the end of the 20th century.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was actually it's men who started it.
Yes.
Yeah, and because they were also not they started actually their idea was to help men get out of this space. And then so then in my research I saw that then this thing was picked later by third wave of feminists. And third wave of feminists is from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's accurate to when I started hearing this word. This word. So but then again, sorry to the feminists. But I think also they took a very an off tangent to this.
It took a dark turn. It was like
And you said something that I think it's Newton's third law. I think like every force or action has an equal
reaction,
and opposite reaction to it. So and these are my opinions. Sorry. I think that time there was a very big backlash on men. And at that time I saw men being called dogs. All men are dogs.
Yes.
All men are rapists. Those are words that you would read on the internet. And people would be like, even your dad. And they were like, yeah, everyone. Like, all men are potential rapists.
Yes.
I understand what they're talking about, but the way it came, it was not more about like educating us.
It wasn't let's correct this. It was more of bashing and
it was very combative and even your child, if you come to your child with like combative, they'll just be resistant. I used to see the kids who used to be beaten and they won't cry because on a kausha like now
it's like so now strokes, they feel like crying.
Now you should beat me like 100 of them now that I start feeling so I think it was a bad approach. Though anyway, so I thought that's the time that this word came about, but apparently this is a word that has been there before. So
what are some of the instances that you found that you would some examples of a time that you picked? What is a time when even you found yourself kind of moving in a wave of toxicity?
I think especially this one of emotion. Because I was reading, it was saying one of the traits of toxic masculinity. They were saying apparently homophobia is one of the many.
I agree.
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends who I sometimes I pose these questions to them. So I remember there's a time.
I thought you were to say how friends were able to be together. I was like, what?
I was saying I want to mention the word friends on the podcast. So when sometimes we sit down and then we just ask them. So if you have a group of friends, I'm asking my male friends. If you have if you're in a group and then you realize one of your boys is gay, then what happens? And then they're like, the friendship ends. And then I ask them why. I ask them why. Like, so now what we'll be talking about? And then I'm telling them, what if it's just a football fan? And you can sit down the way
and talk about
people are like, no. Once I find that out,
that's it.
It's over. Or what if it's you? I know that's one of the questions people ask. I've come to realize that it's not a good question, but like those are some things we ask. What if your son is? And then we hear people say, hey, that is the last day he'll come to this house, I'll disown him, or I'll even kill him. People say, sorry for using that word. People say those kind of things. And I think that is one, I believe that is one of the traits. One of the traits. Oh, you asked mine. So for me, I think just bottling emotions. I think that is that's toxic. And that's why I picked this definition. This definition because it explains to me where this word came from. Leave alone this one that is being
we're just used buzzwords
like this third word, third wave.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay. I hear you. So bottling emotions. Is that something that you're currently working on? I mean, it's just a flaw
I
that
think
you've
it's also just
accepted
a
and you're just
manly
moving with
thing. It's a
it.
manly thing. I think you've also seen it.
What's been an instance in your life where you are going through something and you feel like you really bottled your emotions? If you're comfortable sharing.
I bottled my emotions.
Yeah. Something that happened. I was with one of our mutual friends on the podcast, and I remember he wasn't very comfortable initially sharing, but he spoke about how co-parenting was something that he was giving him sleepless nights because he's like, when my son is with the other parent, are they kind of getting the values that I myself am trying to instill, and just navigating the whole co-parenting aspect and whatever was something that was really weighing heavily on him because I can tell you for a fact it's not ati unazaanga mtoto alafu unasema wow, can we just raise them in separate households and not be, and of course when you're co-parenting, by the time you get to a point where you're co-parenting vizuri, mnakuwa mmekula na kichwa, umedisrespectiana, by the time you find a mutual ground, so it can weigh heavily on a person. And I remember him just admitting and saying, man, that was something that was really difficult for me. So what's an instance in your life where you felt like something was weighing heavily on you, but you still had to show up as a man and just, just not sure that you are,
Okay. One of the hardest parts.
even if it was a life transition.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Do you know why I'm thinking so much about this?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that I'll come to answer this question.
No problem.
The link that you shared with me,
Yeah.
the neuroscientists were talking about something. I
Yeah.
was talking about the ages between 0 and 7.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
That's when you model. Yeah.
And I think some of the things that happened during that time might lead you to who you become.
Okay.
To you become.
They actually do lead you to who you become.
And there are so many instances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there are times when you are not allowed to express your emotions, Nini?
Uh,
Kama ukianguka unaba, wewe sasa unalia, wewe ni kijana bana, simama amka, kaa chini.
Yeah, because okay, I want to answer that question before I continue because maybe anything I say might be deemed as well. But one of the sometimes, but they're very simple things. Sometimes my house has been broken into, but maybe I can't tell someone because it looked like I'm, my house has been broken twice. Most recently this year. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I traveled, came back, found my house has been opened. Yeah, so
they
some of the
stuff?
things, they still stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so but there's a time there's a time I got something for work. Yeah, and I couldn't tell anyone.
And you had to pay
and it was
back.
so expensive. I had to pay. I had to get into like a debt to pay it. But it was really my debt. Me, my debts, I don't even need to ask someone. I'll take it maybe from the bank and I'll pay it myself. So I think that is the only thing. That's the only thing. But again, to go back to what I was saying, and myself, I'll talk about especially the emotional part.
Yes. Okay.
Of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, tell us.
Even that group I was telling you from 20th century, their goal, let me read, their goal was to increase community among men rather than competition. And we'll talk about this. And then also, they wanted to create multi-generational bonding.
Okay.
As they felt that the inability to bond with their fathers was a source of emotional damage.
Yes.
And then the other one was to be free to express emotions. You see? So I think some of these things, even now, these people being violent, you see, people being violent, because that is toxic masculinity.
It is.
Disrespecting women.
Actually, there are traits here I can read out to you. It's going to me. One of the traits of toxic masculinity is emotional manipulation, dishonesty. I spoke about that. Gaslighting, lack of accountability, lack of boundaries, being unsupportive, energy draining, and power dynamics.
Yes. So, toxic masculinity, these people, they're the one who coined this word. And their intentions were good. They were to erase this kind of things. But then again, it took a different
time.
But then again, words also go changing context.
Yeah, they do.
Like the word gay.
Yeah.
You remember Kitambo, it meant being happy.
Yes.
But now, in this context, it means another thing.
Gay,
so I also would fault the meaning of the word right now. Because now it has taken, it's not only the emotional, now it's I'm not taking a shower. You know those things.
Yes.
There was also a trend some time back in X, but X, when you're in X means I take a lot of X is like, for me it's like this comedy nights where you go and people,
Yes,
because
yes,
everyone's trying to
yeah.
be a comedian. So most of the things I pick there, I go there. Because
Yeah.
if you also go there with the emotions, you'll get hurt.
Yeah.
Because people say things like that thread. I'll send you that thread.
I can tell you that thread. That's
When you
so
start
serious.
hating your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So anyway, so people are being asked, "Can you tell me your form of toxic masculinity?" Someone says not wearing pink. Someone says not kujipaka mafuta.
Not eating
Someone
a banana
says,
like this.
yeah. Yeah, so it has taken a different meaning.
Yes.
But then I think these things still come back to now not being able to express yourself emotionally. Like I cannot cry.
Yes.
I cannot hug my friend. I cannot text my friend, I love you. Yeah, there's also that challenge that you text your boys that, hey, I love you. People are abusing themselves.
I saw a phone call. Ati brand, I was just calling to tell you that, man, I really love you and I appreciate you. Ati sawa Buddha, thanks.
Yeah.
Ati no, man, like truly, I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Ati why you trying to like sleep with me or something? Did
Yeah.
you see the combination?
Yeah. So now it brings us to another thing. We will. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that also now coming now to the context of the word right now.
Yes.
All those things that you've read.
Yes.
They say it is also important for us to be aware that not all toxic behaviors in men are caused by toxic masculinity.
That's very important to know.
It is also important that we don't assign blame to toxic masculinity and avoid personal responsibility. There are things that are personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And that will lead me to what you were talking about us as men.
Yes.
I am with my boy, I know he's cheating, he's doing this and that, and I'm not calling him out.
Yes.
So also, then we'll say that is toxic masculinity because men don't hold each other accountable and all that. But then again, what I've just said, let's also not try to put on everything to every toxic behavior that is caused by toxic. And then also, let's also not excuse personal responsibility. Yeah, because come on, you living with someone.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's a personal responsibility for you to pick up your phone and call them?
And
If you're hanging out, you're hanging out, you're watching football. Maybe me, I've already told my significant other that I'm watching football.
Yeah,
and maybe even in between I'm texting.
I'm checking in.
But you're just there. And then it's me that's supposed to. And now your girl will start hating me because I don't hate me, my things. Me, I don't even cheat. Me, I don't even cheat. My things are the straight and narrow. And then me, I'm entertaining you. You see, those kind of things. Yeah, so also, let's also not excuse personal responsibility. Like the thing I was talking about, men at a certain age, let me say, young men, still in high school,
yes.
If you have like a brother, that have had those things, you go to their room and it's stinking, or they don't take showers, they don't, they're just dirty.
They're just in their yucky era. Yes.
And we say this is toxic masculinity because they said, a man should not. Someone has told them. Someone has told them that you should not bathe with cold water. Those things, So some of these things are also personal responsibility.
I agree. And also, I think there are certain traits that we pick up just based on what we've experienced or growing up that we can unlearn and do better. Some which would lead to toxic masculinity, and then there are also people who are just douchebags. Like there's someone who they're just give to mbaya, So then you can't experience a douchebag and then label them as a toxic person, like someone who has toxic masculine traits, and then just use that as the standard of toxic people. Sometimes you also it boils down to individuality as well. I think we all have, and we were talking about this when I was telling you about parenting. You could think you're doing a phenomenal job, but 20 years down the line, therapist except by the way you wounded them a good one. So we are all doing our best. Some of us are not. You're not to blame for the things that you experience that made you have certain toxic traits. However, healing and doing better is your responsibility. And that's something that you can't run away from. So I think as men, sometimes own your truth own some of the things that maybe as a result of your upbringing or whatever that made you have certain traits that are not the best, and then now make a conscious effort to try and do better.
Yeah,
And then us also extend grace.
yeah, and that's why let's go back to that scenario where a woman and a man are living together,
Yes.
and the man doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
So huku kwa nyumba ni kelele. Have you ever seen that meme where an ostrich is the mouth is so of course maybe I know my boy doesn't have a job. You know, it's also not my work to tell him, hey, kwanza wewe bana, you're just sleeping in the house.
Yeah.
I might call him for a drink in the evening. Me nimetoka job.
Yeah.
And of course he sees maybe I'm in a suit, I'm in like a proper,
I mean,
my t-shirt, my shirt is pressed and all that.
Yes.
See, sometimes I call him for and I'll buy him a beer.
Yes.
And I know he doesn't have a job. Sometimes I'm telling him in not words that, hey, come on, man, can you,
yeah.
And men have gone through that.
They have.
Gone through.
I think we also need to
and the reason why I don't want to talk about friends, I don't want to talk about
don't
go through
just to say
and people tell you in those situations, yes, you'll stay in the house, yes, you'll be there, but until you just make like conscious decision.
Yes.
And I don't know how it is for ladies, but for a man, you just maybe you even say, hey, me, instead of staying in the house, I'll be going to the cyber. So even from the cyber, I can even start sending some applications.
Yes.
You know, and then I get myself out of that that space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So toxic masculinity. For the purpose of this session, I would like us also just to separate those two things from personal responsibility. We can also say that this person doesn't have a job and he has not told people.
Yeah.
So even these guys don't know.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have
your
a
boys
job.
just think you're
okay.
So yeah.
So sometimes it's a personal responsibility to be like, hey man, this and this and this. What can I do?
What can I do?
Instead of just you being there.
Yeah.
Dying with your emotions. Yeah.
I think the moral of what we're trying to say is if it will happen, we all have traits that we're not proud of. But trying to do better and trying to implement positive change is personal responsibility.
Yes.
It's personal responsibility. For me, I really have a problem with people who kick others when they're down. Of course, me, I resigned from buildanika.com. I no longer work for that company because you build Anika and then when he's built, he'll just go and build other people.
I'm going to ask him. Get a lawyer.
It's like the people who work from I work at Captain Sevaho. You know. So there are some instances where you build with someone you do, and then once they are built, it's just like wow, next. I mean, who are you? There's the aspect of extending grace. Nobody likes to be kicked when they're down. However, there's also a certain threshold I feel like there is. There's a moment for you feel sorry for yourself, you wallow in that space, and then it has to be gradual. I have to see you also coming out of that funk and being like, okay, I was sad I didn't have a job for a minute, you've been holding me down also. But what turns women off, me I'll speak for myself, is the lack of effort. It's like, okay, fine, Sam, you've been unemployed for 6 months. It's story to be got to your for. It's like the end of the year now. You don't feel like you want to even conversations for me, I'm going to get I've gotten a job offer for like 20 G's. Let me start with that. Let me see what goes. It's the lack of effort. Some people just get into a comfortable space.
Now you see, and then if you're talking about your story and jobs, do you know? I know of people who have told me, no, I don't want to talk about people. But sometimes men lose jobs and they don't even tell their wives.
They don't.
So
my uncle is an example.
Yeah, so,
alikuwa anatoka asubuhi anaenda shughuli zake, and you know he's like into engineering and electronics and automotive stuff, all of that. So he would get like gigs. So of course he has friends who have garages and all of that. So when he lost his job and he had a really good, well-paying job, he just used to go to like his friends' garages. Like, Nani, are you ukwa garage? Yeah, he'll come like a story. If there's a car or two, he'll help fix. Journey and the home. He did that for 2 months. His wife didn't know he lost his job.
And it gets you out of the prison of the mind, because that is the worst prison.
Yeah.
When you're seated not doing anything, you get it. Your thoughts go very far. And
that's true.
So because it's men.
Yes.
It was men awareness.
It's men's man.
Yeah. So for in this session, I wanted us not to bash, not to use in a bad way.
Yeah.
So just again, for men who are listening, can we turn it back to its original meaning? Where these people they are trying to achieve these three things. I'll read them again. Just to increase community among men, rather than competition. Because community is important. So that it will help us get through this emotional thing. And know that it's not an individual kind of thing. It happens to a lot of people. Multi-generational bonding. We need to create that. You had that phone call that I had before. That one of your friends, maybe something has happened to him, and then that time he needs you is where you guys are not there. But if it were drinks, you are with them. And then you see that person in that particular situation, they feel really bad. You know. And then also just to be free to express emotions. Can we try to do that as men? So that this toxic masculinity, let it not be just about labeling the bad and the bad. I agree. I like what you said. I also particularly like what you said about bridging generational, meaning generational bonding. I think we can learn a lot from the people who have gone before us. The same way we can learn a lot from the people who are coming in after us. Sometimes I really like interacting with kids. I found even as a parent, I learn a lot from my daughter, even without knowing. So when we try and bridge that gap and create a space for learning and understanding, then it really helps. It really helps. And now especially, again, those formative years. Yes, the 0 to 7 years. Yeah, because I can tell you a lot of people, if it's alcoholism, if it's just being unruly, just being unkind, again, these things will go back to chivalry, where we started. And again, to those roles of men. Those things that happen, those times. During those formative years. And I think someone will not be able even to say, up to their 40s. And one day they'll realize they'll be able to join the dots and know these things started from here. Creating safe spaces for men also to express themselves. I think that's very important. And even I don't like talking about co-parenting because I'm not an expert. But even in that in co-parenting scenarios, I'll just maybe as men we should try to just be there, especially those I believe 0 to 7 years. I agree. I also think that if I can speak on co-parenting, let's learn to extend each other grace. I've seen instances of there's always two ways to look at things. I'll always empathize with women because I feel like they carry the bulk of the burden. However, I have men who are my friends that are also co-parents. And in someone else's story, they're the villain, but they are my friends, So sometimes I look at it from the lens of this person is my friend, and I see what it does to them. So I think people should learn in spaces for co-parenting, they should learn to extend each other grace. Sometimes men, and this is sad to say though, and I'm not encouraging deadbeats, because I have any deadbeat, shame on you. Pause this podcast, go see your child. Nonsense. So if you're sometimes men choose to walk away because just like man is a lot. It's the drama, it's the insults, nothing is aligning at Welewani. So for the sake of peace, let me just walk away. So then now, because of pride and conflict and all of that, this child, this life that didn't ask to be here, is going to miss out on so much goodness that they would have gotten from getting hang around with both parents, and just because you people couldn't align and put your pride aside or your differences, this individual loses out on that. So now we're not only ruining 2 lives, now we're ruining 3 lives. You see? So I think people need to learn to extend each other grace. Because anyway, sasa mnataka kutuambia you didn't make this baby out of love. Now you've made this baby, now you want to start acting out. Let's learn to extend each other grace. If we move with a certain level of grace, co-parenting will change for a lot of people. And also for the men, I think if you take a certain level of accountability, the narrative around co-parenting will be changed. I'm not saying everybody who gets a child was just here thinking, wow, now I'm going to have a baby. That child is just like, now I'm having a baby. And because I'm with Stacy, what is that? But the fact that, just taking responsibility as an adult and saying, but I was there, but I slept with this person. Now, as a result, see yogurt, imetoka kama avocado, now this is a baby. Let me just take responsibility as a man and do what I need to do. If we also kind of moved with that energy, things would change. And not doing it from a resentful point or from a point of feeling like you're being forced. Just know that you're a grown-up. Actions have consequences. This is the consequence. Now we move. I think that will really help.
That would really help. Co-parenting is a whole conversation on its own, but hey, it can be ghetto. It can really be ghetto. So what else is it that is left for us to discuss?
I think what is supposed to talk about?
Societal beauty standards. There's a lot to be said about, and I spoke. This was a topic I unpacked with a really good friend of mine called Nekesa. We were talking about the societal beauty standards from a female perspective, how they've changed over time, how we felt growing up, our self-esteem, the times when it has been wounded by the other gender and by the genders that we are in. I want to know for you, what was the time when you were kind of aware of your own mini appearance? Like, know what was working for you? What was it? When was the time you came into your own and just started seeing, this is maybe when we talk about physical attributes. What was the time when you started thinking, so this is what is deemed attractive? This is what I personally find attractive. When did you get that awareness?
That's a good question. I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
That's good. It's good you never thought about it because we can talk about it here.
I think very late, because I came to realize that tall, dark, and handsome is not just a phrase. They're really serious about it. So.
Yeah, we are very serious. Actually, and this is so cringe talking to you about it. Yeah. I think you know how they normally say girls are attracted to their dads. Personally, I met my dad when I was 21, and so the better part of my years growing up to 20, of course, I didn't know what my standard of what I was attracted to generally, what my standard was. But the funny thing was, the man that I was attracted to fit his description to a T. So I feel like that is true. People always talk about the tall, dark, and handsome, and how that is the standard of beauty or attractiveness when it comes to men. I would say that would also be my standard as well. But I've also seen how over time, or even when we were teenagers, now when we talk about complexion, I always used to see how light-skinned boys used to get the bulk of their attention.
Okay.
It's like people just used to
Around
say,
that period, or even until now.
Yeah, even until now. I mean, look at how yellow boys be out here getting attention. Sometimes me when I come up, people say tall, dark, and handsome because that's what they had. It's just like, I'll give a good example. I'm a piano. Do you know how many people don't like I'm a piano? But because it's trendy, tunakwanga tu hapo. Then so sometimes people say tall, dark, and handsome because that's what they've had. But truly, when the rubber meets the road, maybe that's not what they genuinely find attractive.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Once you're tall, that's my own perspective.
Yeah.
I think you're automatically handsome. And now I'm asking you because as a lady, because there are men who I don't think they're handsome because they're tall.
I've met people with very interesting faces that are tall. That I personally, having a huge weakness for tall men, would not be involved.
If you're given a tall man and that man that you're saying and a short man, you'll pick the short man. That guy that you're saying is not that good.
But not good looking. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go. But for me, also height is and this is not a very nice thing to say. See me judge. Height for me is also a respect thing. I come from a family of very strong, expressive women, and as a result, that's who I am. So for me, height also is normally, it helps tone down my knee. It's like a respect kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it helps tone down my neediness, my wild side. I don't know, like height is just something I personally find attractive, and also I feel like as a result of life experiences, I've always been made to kind of assume the male role in a lot of ways. Even now in my household, say I'm a single mom, so a lot of times what a man would do if I was in a relationship, I end up doing. So for me, tallness kind of symbolizes that I don't know. It's really it's the epitome of masculine energy for me. Okay. But I feel like it's a mindset.
Because you talked about what you said that in a house where there's not. I remember this challenge that you ladies are doing now for putting the phone in the ceiling. It has proved that you can actually fix the bulb.
You can.
You don't need us.
No, we can. I fix the bulbs.
But okay.
there was a time a mutual friend of ours came here to visit and was having issues with my electricity, like stima iko inashinda ikianguka. So you should have found me huko chini where the meters are trying to. So I was calling him and telling him, "Hey, nimetoka downstairs. I was fixing sijui stima inashinda ikifanya hivi." And he's like, "But I was just there yesterday. So you'd have told me to have a look at it." And I never thought to ask you because me, I'm so used to doing it. So yeah, it's true.
So I remembered something. There's a time I moved into a new house. It was a new building.
Yes.
So in a different town. So we were like the first people to get into the building.
Yeah.
And so there's this lady who wanted to fix her bulb. The roofs were very high. So she came to my house and she was like, "Hey, I want to fix the bulb."
Yeah.
So also me, I'm not.
I know you're not very tall.
So I'm like, I can help you fix it. So then we went. So people are just getting into these houses. There's no furniture.
Oh no.
It's proper furniture.
You're just looking
Yeah. So there's just a plastic chair. So a plastic chair, I still can get to it. So then I can prop you up and then and then you can fix it. And she actually did that. If someone took that picture,
scandalous.
But anyway,
that has happened to me
so,
also.
Yeah.
Someone had never decided to.
No.
He was like, okay, but he was pretty tall though, but he couldn't get to it, so he was like, cool. Then let me just prop you up, and then you can just fix it.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah. No, he was actually he was like, I don't know, he was really tall.
Yeah.
Like almost 6'1", but the roof was just doing the most.
Yeah. So just back to your question. So it means, okay, for me, it came very much later.
Yes.
You see, when you're still in high school,
like
I'm still going.
Yeah.
So maybe looking at the high school, when like maybe I've reached my limit. I've reached my limit.
I know I'm a short guy, but I'm kind of still growing. Yeah.
So but I'm coming to talk about this story now. Let me just read again because I think it sets the tone.
It sets the tone, yes, it does.
So we're talking about standards of beauty. And when I was doing the research, South Korea really came out as one of the best use cases. Yeah. Why are you laughing?
I used to work for. Maybe my listeners don't know this, but I used to work for a dating site, an online dating site, and I used to do a lot of the back end kind of customer support. So I have a lot of facts about just people in general, and then when you mentioned Korea,
it's not even about that.
No, I know what you're thinking. That's not what I was thinking. It's not that. But anyway, tell me.
So apparently, South Korea is called the plastic surgery capital of the world.
It is, yeah.
And they're saying like 1/3 of South Korean women between ages of 19 to 29 have claimed to have had a plastic surgery.
Yes.
So it's that bad. Huh? So, but then again, they say also men, they have their makeup is not gendered. Even men put on makeup.
That explains a lot. Asian men be walking around looking like
so I think standards of beauty. I think they also go with regions.
Yes.
Because I was reading about the standards that are things that are valuable in the Western hemisphere. Even in Africa, I think it is. Especially, I think for African and Black people, I think for ladies having a big bunda is.
It is. It's just like the instances where you go somewhere and someone's just like, "Where's the rest of you?" I'm sorry. Where's the rest of you?
Today, when I was getting a matatu, someone actually said that some lady. To where are you going without your? Yeah.
Where is your? Actually, I was saying it as a joke, but what?
I had it
today. What?
True to God, I had it today.
But I've seen for women, and it changes because what the Western culture finds attractive is definitely not what the African culture finds attractive. Especially now in 2023, what is found attractive is of course is the big booty and the thin waist and if you're a dark skinned woman, you have to look like a black Barbie. What do I mean by saying you have to look like a black Barbie? You have to have what is it called, eccentric features, where you have the small nose and the perky lips, but kind of big but perky, and the big eyes, with a not too big for if you have an East African forehead. That's a mini for now, but we are just surviving. Yeah, it's actually mine is like a 6 head. Me, I'm rocking solid 6 fingers there. So there's there's a way your face also needs to look for you to be deemed attractive. While in the West, it's like if you have big boobs, that's where it's at. They like girls with the big boobs. And also, if you're slender, if you have a slender frame, then you're more celebrated. I have family that lives abroad, and they're always telling me, "Aki, you just go there and walk for 5 minutes." It's the way for them. It's like if you're slender, you're taking care of yourself. It's like you're health conscious, you're eating well, you're doing well. So they attribute that to you being a well-rounded person. It's like you're taking care of yourself visually. But when you're thicker, they feel like umejiachilia, for lack of a better word. So you're just eating anything, you're just living anyhow. So then they're not attracted to those kind of women. And we all know how women struggle with their self-esteem and kind of finding yourself. For me, I've always been very petite. That has been my frame for a very long time. When I was in high school, I kind of added weight because, of course, teenagehood. And the only thing you're expected to do when you're in school is just eat, be naughty, study, and there's nothing much. Immediately I finished high school, I lost a bit of weight, and then postpartum, I lost a lot of weight, and I've never really regained it. So this is the tiniest I've ever been my entire adult life. I've not been this tiny. And I've had my fair share of feeling like, hey, I don't feel like people find me attractive. I've been in rooms where it's, let's say, for example, you go to the club, you'll see how men try and single you people out. Of course, the light skin with the big booty and the what will be the first one who will be approached. And then they'll take the second one and the third one. And sometimes in some rooms, you feel like the boy who's approaching is being told to bro. So just take one for the team. Just take one for the team. And then as you get older, you just realize that this is my body. Like, this is all I have to work with now. So me, I have to learn how to like it. And if they don't get in line, then let them go find whatever works for them, But it's a delicate balance. Now I want to hear it from a male perspective. Of course, now you finish high school, you've done all the growing that you can possibly do. Have you been in spaces where you felt like the taller men got more attention, or the more, I don't know, men who had different features from you were kind of getting the longer end of the stick, and we were getting the short end of the stick?
Okay, good question.
That was play. That was unintended. With a calligraph.
I see what you did there. So, of course, the same way you just said in a club. The chicks with the big behind get all the attention, and the skin tone, you said that. It's just the same now for men. Of course, they'll get the attention for the men. Of course. But then I don't know. Again, also for men, thin, the thin that, but I think people get a lot of body shamed a lot. And it's always okay. People think it's okay.
Mimi shaambiwa baka ati niko na roho chafu tunafinywa na mfupa.
So also that also, I think and it's also bad sometimes also. Someone is really trying to gain some mass. But you can't. And people keep on asking you, hey,
why you bully, bro? Like, what's going on? See you.
So there's also that also. But talking about beauty standards, I think what you asked to answer your question, I think it's always, from my perspective, I think,
it has happened. Is there a particular instance that was etched in your mind that you'd like to share?
No, but then, in terms of height,
even it could be height, it could be complexion, anything.
But I think for men, maybe it's about money.
It's more about money. Yeah, nowadays money also makes men very attractive. It's like, since he's ugly, his wallet is handsome though. His wallet is good looking though. Or your wallet makes you taller.
It's the makeup for men.
Right. Have you heard about the SMS syndrome?
What is that?
Shortman syndrome.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it.
You've heard about it. What's your take on it?
I don't know if it's. You remember I was telling you if something is repeated more and more and more,
Yes.
people might tend to believe it. Okay, maybe I'm defending it, but people say that a lot. And yeah, I think short people, okay, let me say short men, have been painted as being short tempered. Is it hot tempered?
I see what you did there. Yeah.
But do you think there's a difference between short tempered and hot tempered?
Is there? Um, no, yeah, there's a difference. Short tempered is when you run a very short fuse. And hot tempered is when you're like you go from no, because when I say you go from 0 to 100 real quick, that's having a short fuse. Hot tempered is the people who their temper doesn't have layers to it. It's like it's bad. They're very explosive.
They don't get mad fast.
It doesn't.
But when they get mad,
it's bad.
But short tempered is someone who gets mad fast.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of it, and it's attributed to. I don't know if I'm one of those people.
Have you had instances where you feel like someone has disrespected you because of your height?
Yes.
You have a lot of instances. At work?
No, there's one. There's one time. There's one time we were at a house party.
Yeah.
And we left that house party in my friend's car. And then when we were going back, the car got stuck. Mad.
Yeah.
We had to pay. It had rained. It was the first of this Labor Day. It's
first of May.
Yeah, 1st of May. So we had to pay, and then we got to the estate, to the apartment where we were going. And then there was a guy who was drunk at the gate. And then he started asking us, where you guys from?
Yeah.
Then he's asking the Wachi, do these guys even live here? And then we got really mad. So my friend asked the Wachi, do you know this guy? But that guy lives in the apartment, right?
Yeah. This has been a good run. So as we bring it to a close, I just want to ask you, what's one thing about Chivalry and the entire meal experience that you've learned from your upbringing that you'd like to share? One thing that resonates, that speaks volumes for you. One lesson that you've learned.
From my upbringing.
Yes, and just about the entire meal experience in relation to Chivalry.
Okay.
Yeah.
That it changes. It changes and changes, especially what men pass on to the next generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and like I said, the best person I believe is your dad, because your dad is your superhero. Your dad is
Yeah.
Yeah. So and again those years, those 0 to 7 years, very important.
The formative years,
Yeah. And and funny enough, someone was saying you start understanding your father when you marry, or
it's true.
You start living with a woman, or when you get a family.
Yeah.
You start now really
you understand him better now.
You even see him now in a different light.
You do.
Yeah, and maybe some of the things that you thought came automatically in your house, maybe you might not be able to provide for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when you really start understanding that your father was really.
He was doing the most, and you start respecting him even more. Yes, I agree. I agree. What's one thing that relationships have taught you?
Relationships.
Or is continuing to teach you? Yeah, guys, I'm sorry he's not single. Msitumie M-Pesa, Mr. Opea namba yake.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships. Yeah, relationships. From myself, even from other people. Someone was saying even you get to learn more about yourself when you're with another person.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you might think you're the best person, you're the most understanding person. But when you start staying with someone or being with someone, you realize maybe you're not as special as you thought you are. You're not as you don't have emotions in check as you thought you are.
Yeah.
Because it makes you. Yeah, and if you're serious about it, that is. Yeah, because you have to consider also the other person. You have to communicate. You have to even if it's not a relationship that someone is policing you, like you yourself, you realize that there's another person and things that you do maybe also.
They have an effect on them.
Yeah.
Maybe just to also put you at ease. I don't want relationships to be seen as the places where we just bring our ugly side and dump there. I I think your ugly side manifests in relationships because your romantic partner is quote unquote somehow your safe space,
Yeah.
and when you feel safe in a space, whatever it is, whether it's a friendship,
Mm.
then you reveal all sides of you,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And sometimes the sides of you that you reveal are the not so good sides
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing because it helps you work through it. Because maybe you're walking around here feeling macho and feeling like you're God's gift to earth, and maybe you're not. Maybe you have some work to do,
Yeah.
and it's not such a bad thing. So that's what relationships have taught you.
Yeah.
That there, you might not be the most awesome person you think you are. You have some
Yes.
work to do.
Yes, and also just
Yeah,
even how you view other things. Like,
yeah.
anyways, I think
Has
so.
taught
I
you.
think so.
Okay, so we were finishing, and I was asking you, we're in a world where we're all just trying to figure things out. It's a high pressure environment with
Yeah.
everything that's. But then, are you feeling like current events are giving Armageddon vibes?
Yes.
It's like with everything that's going on with Palestine,
Yes.
and now look at what the events in Congo. It's just like, are we? Me, I'm not okay, but I feel like I'm operating at a very high degree of anxiety,
Yeah.
like high anxiety levels.
Mhm.
So with everything that has been conversations that have been thrown around about men, gender roles, gender stereotypes,
Yeah.
character development, how who is not doing what and who
Yeah.
needs to do what.
Yeah.
What's one thing about men that you feel coming out of this conversation
Yeah.
you'd like to shed light on?
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that I feel is that we should just understand that men and women are wired differently.
Yes.
Yes. And the example I was giving you, like we were talking about it earlier. Uh, I have a friend, for example,
Yes.
and maybe him is not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
His dating is not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But when I'm with him, you say we don't call him out
Yes.
or all that.
Yeah.
So I was saying, I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Yes.
It happens, yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
it. But it's just a different way that maybe men are able to do this to be accountable to each other, to keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they're not doing that, it's good also to remind them. But there's a way that they do it
That's might not be
themselves.
how we would
Yeah,
think.
not how
Necessarily how we would think to go
yeah, because
about
there are
it.
those scenarios that as a man you see or you hear someone's girlfriend say that so and so no wamefanya my man is not behaving properly.
Yes.
I once heard that from someone and it really strained our friendship going on. Yeah. A lady has said that.
No, I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
because of
Yeah.
his guy was but I felt like why would you
Why would you blame
blame
it
us?
on me?
And that's why I was talking about personal responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing.
Yeah. I think also people just need to learn that sometimes people are responsible for the way they move and how they act. It's like when people normally say so and so stole my man. Your man is not a car or money atachukuliwa kwa mfuko. You know, he wanted to be stolen, so now he's gone, or he wants to be influenced in that way, and he's doing that. So sometimes it's personal responsibility as well. Okay, cool. Thank you for making the time to come. Did you enjoy yourself?
So much.
Do you feel like you'll come back again? We talk.
I'll wait to hear this.
You'll wait to hear this, and
If
then
my
you'll
voice
know. It's
not,
not
or
what.
if I banned.
No, you have a lot. I feel like personally you have a lot of wisdom to share, and we normally have so many conversations off record
Yeah.
that would really be edifying to other people if they had it.
Yeah.
Remember the first time I met you, niliambiwa, well, you should have so and so on your podcast, and I thought, oh God, but I feel like he says that a lot for everybody that I meet.
Yeah.
But for you, after having conversed with you, I see why it was important to have you on the platform. And thank you for making time. I know you have a lot going on in your life right now. And so you making the time to just come and share is not something that I take for granted. And I hope in future we'll have more conversations with you as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, guys, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for making the time to listen. Is there something that we said that you didn't agree with? Is there something that you said that you just thought, that makes so much sense? I would love to hear from you. So find me on Instagram, find me on any other platform that you'd be interested, or even in the comment section down below. Tell me what spoke to you, tell me what you resonated with. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you soon. Love, hugs, and lights. Bye bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. What's some of the things that we discussed on today's episode that you really resonated with? Perhaps you even have a similar story or something that really tickled you. I would love to get your feedback. You can find me on Instagram at the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. You can also find me on Gmail. You can write me an email, tewanzuu@gmail.com. Better yet, you can leave a note if you're listening on Spotify or any other streaming platform and let me know whatever spoke to you during this particular episode. Life is too hard to go through it alone. Let's just do life together. Amma, until next time, bye-bye.